Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for coming again today. Thanks for inviting other people too. I appreciate that. Okay, I've just done a lot of talking, and it really was talking to myself because I had myself muted. But Beth, you have given me a lot of thumbs up today. I appreciate it. I could have done this whole thing muted if you hadn't told me. Surely Vanessa would have told me. Okay, but I have it live in Facebook with me just jabbering with my mouth moving and no sound. So I don't think I'll be able to edit that out. Okay, I'm going to start with day 2. Let me get my presentation going here. Let's see. I got to do share screen first. All these steps in order. Share my screen. All right. Here we go. Move this out of the way and present. All right, here we go again with my wonderful little chalkboard. Homeschooling can be fun. And the intro again, homeschooling is more than educating your children at home. It's about building a family culture that encourages creativity, emphasizes the importance of relationships, and prepares children for the future. And the best way to do this is to make it fun. Hence, homeschooling can be fun. Is the challenge that I decided to do. I want us to learn how to add fun to our homeschool so that not only is it better for the kids, and they actually learn better when they don't even realize that they're learning because they're having fun doing it, but it's also better for us moms because we need to have fun too. And yesterday we talked about how beginning homeschoolers think that because that's all they've ever seen before is that we should do the textbooks and the workbooks and sit at the table or desk like we did in school, and just all the schedule, the bells, everything like they did it in school. We think that's what we need to do for homeschooling, but then as we go on, we start to find out that our kids kind of rebel against that, and it's hard to do at home because you're home. It's your home. You should be comfortable. Your kids should be comfortable. Of course, you're going to be learning. You want to have a learning atmosphere in your home, but you don't want it to be so structured that there's no time for enjoyment. There's no time for going off on a rabbit trail on something that is sparked by something that you've been studying or reading together. But if you feel like you have to do it like school, then you think you only have half an hour for this subject, and then you have to move right into the next subject. You got to do your math next. It has to be at 10:30 in the morning or whatever. If we think that we have to do it like that way like school does, we're gonna burn out ourselves, and our children are not going to be too happy with us either. So what I have found works best for my family is we don't do anything the way school does things. We ended up leaving the kitchen table. We started out having all our books at the kitchen table. And I know that works for some people and they do it all the way through. It didn't work for us. We started just moving to the living room and sitting on the couch. And what I ended up really doing was reading aloud to them. That was our main way that we did homeschooling. Was I just read aloud a really good book I got from the Sunlight List. And it covered history, it covered geography, it covered cultures. And they heard the writing of a good author who really knows the craft, and classics that have lasted through the ages. So we know that that writing is quality writing. And so through that, several of my kids have become really good writers too, because I read such good books to them. But I did start out thinking that I had to do it the way the schools do it, and I tried to make my first son, Sean, just sit at the table and do his work, and then he would sometimes just refuse. So I would call my husband at work, and he would talk to him, and he talked him into getting his work done so that he could play and do what he wanted to do. And then I started reading Tarzan to Sean, and he found out that he really liked reading. He loved to use his imagination. And that was a surprise to me. I didn't know that Tarzan would do that for him, but a friend had suggested I read that to him, and that was a key to Sean wanting to learn to read. I'd been trying to teach him through phonics and all kinds of ways all through the years, but after we read Tarzan, that's when he took off in his reading, and he was 10 or 11 by that time. So I was a little concerned if he was ever going to learn how to read, but boy, did he. And he's read things I wouldn't attempt to read now. But oh, let me move on to my next slide. And we did our homework, and some of us are still thinking about our homework, right, Jessica Barrett? And just things you can change to bring more peace and joy into your home is what I wanted you to think about. So you can still be thinking about that, but we're going to go on to day 2 now, where I'm going to talk about how learning is natural and enjoyable. So keep it that way in your homeschool. Develop a homeschool mindset. Beth illustrated how learning is natural yesterday when she was talking about her boys, how they just keep learning things without her. And when she goes to teach it to them, they already know it. And that just shows us that learning is very natural. She doesn't even know how they're learning these things. And I found that with my kids too. My last 2 girls that, my youngest 2 girls, I didn't have to teach them to read. I did give a phonics book to Abby, but Emma watched the Leapfrog videos. We had the DVDs of the Leapfrog phonics, and she watched those over and over again. And when I sat down to teach her to read, she already knew how to read. They had taught her. And I know that Beth's kids do all kinds of things, watch all kinds of things, and read all kinds of things. So she didn't even get to teach them to read either. Abby, my youngest, she did not want to learn to read. She told me, she said, I'm not going to learn to read. I don't want to. And I was like, well, okay, that's fine, but you have to do this phonics book. And she's like, okay. And so she went through the phonics book, and she played video games with the other kids that required reading. She had to be able to read to play those games. So that made her change her mind about not wanting to learn to read. So she against her own will learned to read. But learning is very natural, and it can be enjoyable. I love to learn something new, don't you? And I like to continue to learn. I like to take classes still. I like to just study something that I'm interested in. I want to know more about, and I like that. It's fun. So we need to keep it that way for our kids as much as we can. And one way to do that is to develop a homeschool mindset. That means it's we develop a lifestyle of learning together with our kids, living life with our kids. That we learn from life, and our kids learn from life. We learn from just the normal things we have to do every day, and our kids learn from the normal things they have to do when they have to do their chores. Let me see if somebody said something in chat that I missed. Video games and police videos. Yes, Beth's kids get into video games and police videos, and they're smart as can be. They've learned a lot and are looking for their future careers there. So we hear from Charlotte Mason that education is an atmosphere, a discipline, a life. And to me, that is how we have a homeschool mindset, is when we set up our atmosphere in our home that encourages learning. And when we have books around that they can get to, we have art supplies that they can get out themselves and just create. When we have videos that have educational stuff, but just, what isn't educational? You learn from everything. But we just have those things available. We have music playing. We have you just set the atmosphere that, like, oh, when your kid brings something from outside, a flower or something from nature, and you get excited about it and you look it up and you find out more about it and where it came from and what's like and what it does and just the parts of it and all that. When you do that, you're setting the atmosphere, and it's causing the kids to want to learn more and to be excited about learning, and they enjoy it and it's fun. So I want you to know that you can do this homeschooling thing, and you can continue to do it for as long as you feel called to. If you feel that you are called to homeschool and you want to learn along with your kids, then I don't see why anyone would not be able to homeschool. But instead of thinking of what you're doing as school, think of it as family schooling. Your family is learning together, living together, growing together. You're not a teacher, you're a mother. Your children are learning how to build good relationships within the family, among their siblings, with you as their mom, with their dad. They're learning how relationships should be done. They're learning, hopefully, the right way to be honest and open with each other, to apologize when they do something wrong, to forgive when somebody does something wrong against them. They're learning to take care of younger children, and be patient with them, especially if you have a bigger family. They're learning to, they just are learning how to have good relationships and really develop relationships, instead of just going to school and having surface relationships with people that they only see for that period of time. And then when they come home, they don't know their siblings. That's just a whole different dynamic. For us, we're home all day with our kids are home all day with us and with each other. And it's real. They develop real relationships. They have the ups and the downs. They really get to know each other. So we can do that when we're family schooling, when we're paying attention to those relationships, and we're there so that we can instruct and correct and monitor their behavior and their growth. And we can encourage them, and we can tell them, explain what they should have done differently, or have, ask them what was going on there. Why did you yell like that? Or why did you hit him? Or any of those things. We're right there with them. We're not sending them off to strangers to teach them how to be a good person and develop good relationships. We're doing that ourselves at home. That's family schooling. We do things together as a family, and we can build the kind of family culture that we want. We can create a family mission statement with the input of the whole family, so everyone knows what your family believes and values. Everyone in your family, talks about what's important to us. As Douglases, we are kind to each other. We help others. Things like that. Whatever you want to put in your family mission statement. We said that we wanted to be, I have our family mission statement on my blog, that we wanted to be an example of a Christian family and how relationships should be built. And it gives us a goal to shoot for. We know that we are human, we are people, and we're going to have our times where we're not getting along, and no family is perfect, but we'll have those things to aim for. We'll have a goal, and we have something to point to when things are not going as they should. We can point to that family mission statement and say, now this is what we really believe. So let's come back to that. Now that's family schooling. And I just think it's important to even tell our kids how how important families are in society, where the families are the building blocks of society. It's important that people get married and have children and take care of their children. That's how children get taken care of well, is when they're in a family with a mother and a father. And if possible, if at all possible, that's, that's the thing that we're shooting for, and that we want to have, is a family that is as stable as possible for the children to be well taken care of. And family is really important. And we want to impress upon our children how important family is, and especially in these days when it's being so attacked and torn apart. So that's family schooling. And I've loved having that kind of approach to our homeschooling all through the years. But there's a new thing. Well, it's not new, but to me, it's kind of new. Lifeschooling. It's a similar philosophy. Daniil Papageorgiou explains lifeschooling like this. Lifeschooling is the process of discovering your child's God-given gifts and talents through real-life experiences that happen within the context of your family's unique situations and missions. And she says that homeschooling isn't a separate thing from everyday life. I agree with that. Homeschooling becomes your lifestyle. Everything else revolves around homeschooling, but in a natural, organic way. Life becomes your curriculum. Our kids are constantly learning, and so are we. We learn life skills, relationship skills, knowledge, and wisdom as we share our lives with each other. There's a synergy as each person shares with the rest what they're learning and what they're thinking. Life schooling is the freedom to educate as God calls you to, not as the scope and sequence, state regulation, or curriculum dictates. And Daniil says on her website, I think it's Lifeschooling conference. I'll have to look that up. Lifeschooling is a way that homeschooling can merge with a healthy family life and whatever life circumstances God brings, and to challenge the conventional, historically abnormal model of age-segregated, subject-divided, desk-confined schooling that has infiltrated the modern homeschooling movement. So she's calling us away from that school-at-home method, bringing homeschooling back to its roots. So that is life schooling in a nutshell. If you want to know more about that, I'll look up her website again. I had it before, but I think it's lifeschoolingconference.com, but I will find out for sure. But she agrees with the things that I have been finding the longer I homeschooled, things I've read from other people, that learning, when allowed to occur naturally, is enjoyable and fun. And as I said yesterday, I had been a public school teacher. And when I started homeschooling, I started out trying to be formal, saying the pledge to the flag, working in a Sesame Street magazine that came in the mail, and worrying about whether we were doing enough. But I did some things right. I sang songs with Sean. He was my first one. I was practicing on him. I helped him act out Donut Man songs like David throwing the stone at Goliath. I had lots of kids' songs and tapes and videos and lots of picture books from the library. And a lot of the picture books I got were songs too. So we sang our way through the stories. We did a unit study about cowboys and another one about farms. And I started realizing that Sean was learning from all the things we did, not just from book work. And I had heard of unit studies in college, so I decided to turn Sean's interest in cowboys into a unit study, and he really enjoyed it. It's one of his favorite memories of homeschooling. We even talked about it in my course when we were doing those videos together. We brought up the cowboy unit study that we did. And I learned a lot of unusual, not so much methods, but my college days were back in the 80s, and we were learning about whole language. And the word I tried to get yesterday, immerse. We learned that we should immerse the children in whatever subject we were talking about, whatever We wanted them to learn. We should surround them with the books about it and let them draw about it and let them write about it and bring in speakers to talk about it and watch movies about it. That's what I learned in college, that we were taught whole language. And then, you know, there's the controversy about whether you should teach phonics or just sight words or whatever. Phonics, I love phonics, and I always teach phonics to my kids. But to me, that didn't have to be one or the other. I did both. I did the phonics and the whole language. But when I started teaching in the public school, I couldn't do any of those things that I was taught in college, because I had to just do the workbooks that they had already bought. The school board had decided we needed, and use them and get through them in the year's time. And I just had to follow their rules. But when I started homeschooling, I started doing those things that I learned about in college. So I was glad that that I had learned those things, and then that I finally had the opportunity to really make the word walls and do all the fun extra things that extended the activity, that extended the learning and made it more fun. So in order to help our kids to enjoy homeschooling, we need to keep it simple. And Charlotte Mason talks about that, short lessons for the younger kids, and keep the lessons short. And we need to find ways to keep their attention and interest. And when we limit the time to 10 minutes or however, as they get older, it increases. Limiting the time helps them develop the habit of attention. Because like if they have a certain amount of time and then they can get up and play, or they can change to another activity, they're going to keep paying attention and not just let their minds wander. So it's important for us to do that, and to keep things fresh and lively and exciting. Alternate close work with active play. After they do some math, then let them get up and do some exercises, or do a chore, or do something, go outside, and just alternate those things so they're not sitting too long at a time. That was one of the things when I was doing assessments. Some moms would come to me and bring all their work and all their stuff, and they were down, they were upset, frustrated, because their kid had only gotten halfway through the math workbook, but they had made them fill in every blank, and they would make them sit at the table until they got the page finished. And sometimes it was hours, and sometimes they would make them not eat because they hadn't finished the math page. And I was no, don't do that. You're making them hate it even more. It's already hard. Obviously, it's already hard for them. And I said, skip some of the problems, make it as easy as possible. And once they've mastered something, don't keep drilling it. Just, okay, you've got that learned, let's go on. Because that's the point. The point is we want them to learn, right? Not just fill in all the blanks in a workbook. So that was a pet peeve of mine, was like, please be kind to your children. Don't turn this into torture. This should be a good time of their childhood and your time with them as their mother. This time is fleeting. Believe me, I know you don't have them young for very long. And everybody tells you that, but in the middle of all your kids being young, it seems like, yeah, this is lasting forever. But believe me, this time with your kids at the ages that they are is the only time you're going to have them at this age that they are right now. And they're yours right now, but they're not going to be when they grow up. They're their own people, and the relationship changes. Enjoy this as much as you can, and really cherish this. I've been preaching this message for a long time, even when I was in the middle of having the little ones and being so busy. And I really didn't understand it as much as I do now that my kids are all older. But if we can make these days fun and pleasant and a good memory for our kids when they get older, when they look back at their homeschooling and they say, we did these lap books, we did these unit studies, we did field trips, we went to the park, we learned about these animals, we learned about sharks, and they're happy with their memories of homeschooling, then we have done a good job. So that's why I'm trying to get us all to add some fun to our homeschooling. And when they get older, as they get older, and we're still homeschooling them, but they're getting older, let them take control of their education as much as they can when they're ready for it. But I have created a course. Let me go forward with my slides. Oh, here's the homework. Okay, let me, let's do this testimonial. Beth gave me a testimonial because I asked her for it. And she said that Penny has been a blessing to my homeschool journey. She has helped me to see that I do not need a school at home approach in our home. We don't have to sit at a table daily to learn. She has encouraged reading aloud, especially during seasons of rest like pregnancy and when babies arrive. She encourages observing your children and seeing what their interests are and how they obtain information. It has taken a load off to just be and allow things to flow. My children are so much better for it. She truly is an inspiration, and she certainly has the fruit with her own brilliant bunch. Thank you, Beth. And so that's what I wanted to tell you about this course that my oldest helped me to put together. And he helped me make the videos for it. I developed a course with my oldest son, a homeschool graduate. It teaches the basics of learning so that homeschoolers can feel confident as teachers. And I'll take you through the course and support you each week with a weekly Zoom meeting. And we'll do a monthly one-on-one call. And you can take the course that way, or you can just go through it on your own. And through that course, I can teach you some keys that will help you to feel more confident about teaching your children, basic principles of learning so that you feel qualified to lead your child's education. And number two, I can help you to modify your expectations to match reality. Then your frustration and that of your children will be reduced, and there will be more peace in your home. Peace is a big prize. We want to have peace in our home. We want to be able. We can't really have a learning environment if we have conflict and we have strife in our home. And a lot of times that strife is between mom and the kids, and that's not a good situation. And number three, I can help you to develop a homeschool mindset, which includes a lifestyle of learning. The whole family lives together and learns together. And so let me go back to our homework. Okay. So our homework for today, and you don't have to become all teacher-fied or anything, but develop a philosophy of education for your family. And just think about these kinds of things as far as what do you think about learning? What do you understand about how learning happens and what makes it easier for kids to learn? What makes the learning stick? So in order to do that, do you want your homeschool to put an emphasis on developing a healthy, loving family culture? Is that where your emphasis is? Is that that thing that you value the most in what homeschooling is all about for you? Or do you want to make helping your kids discover their gifts and callings a priority? And you can have both of those as priorities. Do you want to integrate real life with your homeschooling plans? Oh boy, that just happens. And then what are the three most important aspects you want your homeschool to include? What values are most important to your family? So I'm calling it a philosophy of education, but I'm really thinking, just think for yourself and for your own family, for your kids, your husband. What are the three most important things that we want to accomplish through homeschooling? The things that we want our kids to remember when they look back on homeschooling, when they're grown and have their own kids and are homeschooling them. What are those three values and those three things that you want them to remember in their homeschool experience? So I'm going to give you a little time to work on that. I was going to play some music, but I can't get to my music. Oh, here we have, oh, wow. Vanessa, yay, this is my homeschool mantra. Okay, Vanessa has already been thinking about this. I want my kids to love learning. I want my kids to love and follow the Lord. I want my kids to be successful in what God has planned for them. I cannot control every outcome. So true. All I can do is try and pray that God will fill in the gap. I need to stop comparing myself and my kids to others. Wow, these are so good. I need to pray more and work less. Or is it work or worry? I can't see. Is it work or worry? Worry, yeah. That they both work, don't they?
Yeah, it's supposed to be worry, but work also works.
Yeah. Wow, these are so good, Vanessa. I need to speak life over my kids. Remember, heart is more important than head. Straight A students still commit suicide, get divorced, and fall away. Oh my goodness, yeah, that is true, and that is sobering, because sometimes we just put so much emphasis on the straight A's. I did when I was a student, and that didn't really do a whole lot for me later on. God has a plan for each of my children, and I need to trust him. He will not let me fail if I follow him. God called us to it, so he will see us through it. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Wow, Vanessa, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to use that. That is great. How did you get that done so fast? Did you have it written somewhere? Okay. Wow.
I have to read it like at least once a week as a reminder.
That's good. Wow. All right. Does anybody else? I don't know what.
I'm trying to figure out how to mute. Hold on. I don't know what I hit. I'm new to Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know why it won't. It doesn't usually do this.
How do I mute it? Where'd it go?
You were muted.
I know, and now it's not letting me mute. Usually there's a little microphone icon that I can click. It's not letting me click it.
It should let me talk even if you're not muted. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's see if it's better now. It works. Yay. Okay. That was strange, but technology. All right. Does anybody else have a philosophy of education already written out like Vanessa did, or have you written some things, Jessica or Elizabeth? I don't know what's going on Facebook. Let me check Facebook real quick. You know, I had to write a philosophy of education when I was in college. And I think it just said my philosophy of education was that I would be fair but firm. I was taking assertive discipline at the time. And I can't remember what else my philosophy of education was when I was 21 years old. But it's changed a lot since I started homeschooling. Okay, it looks like people are seeing it, but I don't see any comments on Facebook. So Beth and Jessica must be busy. So we will move along. Any questions? I know Vanessa is a veteran and a pro, and I know that you do all kinds of things with your kids. They're active and involved in a homeschool. Is it a co-op or? Yeah. And so and you're in Arizona, so you can do things all year long outside. Is Arizona better than Texas was? Oh, now you can't get it to talk. These crazy phones. To me, Texas was just too hot.
I didn't love all the rain and mosquitoes of Texas, but it's
Yeah.
hotter here in Arizona right now. It's like 100 and I don't know, 16 right now, but you know, with the pool in the summer, it's not bad. And you can go up north and it's cooler and there's some good hikes and stuff up north. So we get out on the weekends.
And your husband's doing much better, I see. Praise the Lord for that.
Yeah, this has been a testing by fire year with the flood and then all his health crisis. So we're hoping for a better year this year.
I hope so too. Yeah. Oh, I got a new message. Let me see. Beth says, oh, sorry, had a little crisis. I have it written in my notebook, but family style, real life learning, preparing for Christ-centered life is what you've had for your philosophy of education, your homeschool philosophy. That's good. So you have already written it too. Good job, Beth. And I suppose Jessica Barrett has too. So anyone who is watching the replay, you might want to do this. Just think about the things that are most important to you that you want to have as priorities in your homeschool, and like Vanessa, read them every week or every day or however often you need to do it to remind yourself of, why am I doing this crazy homeschooling thing? And but to me, it's like we need to have our eyes on why we're doing it. But to me, it's like it's a no-brainer. Homeschooling is just the best. It's the best for the kids and best for the family. The kids are more secure. They don't feel like they're being sent away. I know a lot of kids want to go to school and stuff, but I think that's because that's what everybody around them is acting like. And when they are homeschooled from the beginning, my kids hardly ever, a few every once in a while would say, I never got to ride a school bus, or I don't even know what it's like to go in and have the bell ring and have to sit in the desk. And I'm like, you're lucky. But most of them have been really glad that they were homeschooled and had the freedom to study what they wanted to, and have kind of liberty to just do what seemed important to them and enjoyable. They could go on those rabbit trails whenever we would read a story aloud, especially Sean. And some of the younger kids were like, oh man, he's never going to stop talking. But he would just philosophize. He would start saying, well, if they had done this, then this would have happened. And he just really got into the stories and mined them for every bit of goodness he could get out of them, and how life should be. And I know that probably a lot of your kids are like that too, and they just don't get that kind of opportunity in a classroom in school, and with so many other kids vying for attention or trying to stay hidden and not have the teacher call on them. Because it's embarrassing to get called on in a big group like that for some of us. So for me, homeschooling has always been the best option, and I'm so glad I was able to do it all the way through. So it's good for us to have some guiding principles and to think about these things, that even though we're not teachers and we're not in the teacher role exactly, we're a facilitator of learning, to just have these ideals put down on paper, which you guys have done. I'm so proud of you. It helps. It just helps you to remember what this is all about, and keep those thoughts in mind when things are hard, because some days are hard, and some days a certain kid will have a bad day, or something bad happens in life. Life happens no matter how much we try to keep to a schedule, or keep working on a certain project, or working in a subject and moving through a book or whatever, life happens and it's going to mess up our schedule. It's going to mess up our plans and what we thought we were going to do. And sometimes that can be upsetting to us, and their behavior, the kids' behavior can be upsetting to us. And at times like that, we need to remember why we're doing this, what we're trying to accomplish with this. So it is very good to have it written down, the things that are important, and just to be able to pull yourself back. And as we were talking about with Colleen yesterday, cast down the imaginations, cast out those thoughts that make you think, I'm just going to quit. Nobody appreciates what I'm doing anyway, so why should I keep trying? And you know, we just always have to have some encouragement. And it's also good to have some other friends, other homeschool friends in your life. If you have a group, that's wonderful. If you just even have one or two friends that also homeschool, that makes a big difference. So that's pretty much what I had for you today. If you know somebody who would benefit from my course that I put together, that I keep talking about, that Sean and I talked about, just all the like learning styles and readiness and just all kinds of things in the course that we did on Teachable. If you know a beginning homeschooler or somebody who is doing school at home who would benefit from that course, please tell them about my course, and I've got the link in the group and in the workbook that I put out. And if you can't find the link, ask me and I'll give it to you. They can go through the course on their own, or I can coach them through it. There's 2 different options for that. So, and if anybody hasn't heard about this challenge, and if you know somebody that would benefit from this kind of teaching, please invite them. I know that Vanessa has, and Colleen did, and I really appreciate that, because I think it's important that people know how to homeschool in a way that is sustainable, that they'll keep on doing it and not get frustrated, not get burnt out. Okay, but that's for today. We're pretty much finished with today's message. Let me go back to it. Learning is natural and enjoyable. Keep it that way. Develop a homeschool mindset. Education is a life, and it's a lifestyle of learning. Know that anyone can do this if they feel called and want to learn along with their kids. Do family schooling and life schooling. Take advantage of teachable moments. I didn't really say anything about that. And practice strewing. You guys know what strewing is? You just kind of leave things around, like a book that you found, or a pine cone or something that you found that's interesting, and just let the kids discover it on their own, and or read through it on their own at their own time. And yeah, it's kind of sneaky. But you know, I love to do that. I've done that a lot through the years, and my kids have just, I just see them pick up a book and start reading, and I'm like, yay. So that is that. And there's Jessica.
Hey, I've just been listening kind of off and on, but I wanted you to know I'm here.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm here.
I'm glad to see your face.
I'm here. Here's my face. Yeah, definitely lots of good stuff. Yeah, strewing is good. I've definitely tried doing that. They don't always like pick it up. You know, you can make a beautiful strewing display, and sometimes they'll take 1 or no items, but still, if you don't offer it, then they're going to take nothing. So better to put it out than to not. And what else did you cover? Yeah, definitely good stuff today again. Let's see. Yeah, like keeping it, there's a lot of things that lend itself to teaching that doesn't look like what we, especially if you weren't homeschooled, what we think of it. It's a whole different way of seeing things. Yes. And just being intentional about how, because you're like always teaching your children, but kind of going that next level and really getting the educational piece in there, but having it be natural. And then that's like really how they learn in a more impactful way than just shoving factoids in. There's a lot of things that you can build into what you're already doing and get, have that, so you're not like having to carve out all these like hours and hours of like, okay, now we're doing math, now we're doing that. Like, a lot of people just teach, early math through, baking and cooking and things like that, where it's just already part of things you're already doing. So you're not having to allocate 8 hours a day. You just strategically find ways to build it in. And in that way, you can really keep your days, much more manageable and make it more fun. And what else did you have on here? Let's say just, it's almost like you have to, education is a life, Charlotte Mason. Yeah. I mean, it really is seeing it in a different light. And I think one of the ways, Penny, are you gonna release like a book list of some stuff? I think that can be really helpful for people that are new. Is get reading. There's so many things that can come from just your own studying of teaching and different ideas. And I am eclectic, so I use a lot of different things, but some people really find a certain philosophy of teaching and stick with that. But the only way you're going to know what you like is to experiment, and also look at the people that have come before, and see what they've done, and glean from their experiences. And there's lots of mentors through books, and also we all help each other here, which is why I love this group. But there's also some really good books that can, especially if you're new, and you're ready to go, and you want something that's going to kind of help you so that you don't have to learn everything the hard way. Don't learn the hard way. Read some, read some, there's some really, really good resources, and and books, and books that have like resource lists even within them. And some of the books even then will link to like websites and their whole communities. There's a lot of good resources, and you do have to be intentional about which ones you use. Because like if you just went and like Googled like homeschooling, like you'd find a million homeschooling things. Like it's a business to sell to homeschoolers. So you have to figure out, okay, well, that's why I think if Penny comes up with something that would be useful, so you don't just get lost out there, pick a couple tried and true resources and kind of start there, but don't get lost out there, because there's so much stuff, and when we start out, we don't know what we don't know, so then we just add way too much, and we can't process it all. But I would say that was helpful to me, is being able to have the knowledge of other people that had done it and knew what they were talking about, and also makes it feel more doable for new people. And you don't have to, there's no like specific way to come into it. You don't have to be third generation homeschooler. You don't have to have started where they've never set foot in a public school. You can homeschool, put them in public school, homeschool again. There is no, this is the only way. Like there's all different ways to do it. But the main thing is a desire to do it. And just finding what you need to be successful, I think, and keep making adjustments. If you don't like it, then something is wrong. It really should be. There will be hard days, just like being a parent can be hard, but you shouldn't like loathe homeschooling. Like it really should be something that is enjoyable. If not, then tweak what you're doing, change curriculum, change styles, like change something, because otherwise it's unsustainable. And the first chance you get, like, you're going to get out. But I would say definitely, be willing to experiment and try different things, because and I'd say the most important thing is don't, I think we've already said it, is don't replicate school at home, because you will not be happy.
Right.
You will not. If you're gonna do that, there's not really a huge
Why do it?
benefit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's almost like, yeah, you can pull off some of the things you don't want them to be exposed or taught, but you're pretty much getting a lot of the things that you left that model for. You just making it at home. And now you
Yeah.
have all the work of running it.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
really and it's kind of easy. People feel kind of more secure doing that because it's what they know, but it really does negate why we do it. But it's
Yeah.
something that a lot of newbies will do just because it seems to make sense. And the other side is so like, wait, this is so different. Like, it is very different when you get going and you're like, wow, I don't have to, do all this extra busy work and, follow this strict schedule and grade things and test. I mean, it can be almost mind blowing, the freedom that you have. Well, I guess depending upon your state, but a lot more freedom than you have if you put them on the yellow bus. So,
Right.
but I would say, yeah, you need to just get the good resources and find a community. I definitely think it does get, at least for me, it got easier as I got going.
Mm-hmm.
First year is a lot,
Yeah.
but it gets better and better the more you do it and the more
Yeah.
comfortable you get with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get the printables. Don't do the printables.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them. No, some printables are wonderful. It's just easy to get. Again, suffering from too much resource.
Developing an addiction.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I still haven't gone through all my printables. Printables can be too much of a good thing, and you can never like get them, organized, because you end up with massive amounts and there's big, huge packets that you have to get for $25 and you get 1,000 different things and you can never even remember them when you need them, where it was.
Right.
Yeah, I
Use them at the
know.
right time. Yeah.
I know. Oh my gosh. I have hardly even used, I've got so many printables. I don't even know, but they are lovely, but I don't know if they're practical for me anyway. Maybe if I hadn't gotten so many of them, and
Yeah.
if I had the skills I had now, it would have worked.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I don't know. It's almost like you just get swept up in, I've got to get more. These are so great. These are going to be
Yeah.
awesome. And
Couldn't
yeah,
turn them down. Yeah.
you can. Yeah. A lot of them
Free.
are free. A lot of
Yeah.
them are free. I did pay for a good amount too, but they're just these ginormous things, and they can easily get away from you.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to spend your time organizing PDFs.
No.
It's just not, I think one of the things I've learned is it can be a lot more simpler than we make it. Like we really complicate homeschooling. That's why they always say, like, you can homeschool the library card, but it's hard to even imagine. It's like, no, you can't. You need all the cool curriculum and you need to do all this, and it's hard to realize that, no, you can. We just
You really
don't
can.
want to.
Right.
We want it, the fun, shiny curriculum and all the stuff. So, but it can be just as effective with something very simple.
We go through the homeschool catalogs lusting.
Oh, I know. They know how to, it's a business, it's a business. They know what we want, and they're giving it to us and we're paying for it. And what sucks too is that there's a lot of curriculum that we buy that we'll never even use.
Yeah.
Good intentions, but that's not
You don't get
real
to it.
life. Yeah, it's not real life. And realizing that at the end of the day, it really isn't going to make that difference, right? If you covered like everything, because that's just not, the retention isn't there. I'd say if you
Yeah.
don't believe it, think back to what you learned in 5th grade, 8th grade. What do you you don't have, you
don't
can't even
remember.
access it. You
Mm-mm.
cannot even access it. So
No.
it's not about running through massive things that they will then just, if you don't use it, you lose it, and they will. So don't spend your money on that kind of stuff because they will not retain it. And you
Right.
will spend a lot of time going through all the stuff. And if it's really something that they're into, you won't even have to push it because they'll go there naturally. Like, we all do, right? Like there are things that intrigue us, and then we go and we get into it, whether it's movies or books or whatever, like they'll go there. But I do think there is the value in, if you can teach the love of learning, then
Yes,
that's the lesson.
that's it.
Yeah.
Beth agrees with you, right? Principals are overwhelming, laugh out loud. And she says the library is our curriculum. And it pretty much was for us too, for most of my homeschooling years. I did get some books that we workbook type things throughout the years, but mostly it was getting good books from the library and reading them aloud. But that's a great idea, Jessica, about putting together a list of good books to help homeschoolers get started, homeschool moms to know the nuts and bolts, the main things that the old timers taught us, and they went through it first and set a good path for the rest of us. And they had a lot of wisdom, and I read a lot of those books when I first started. They helped me a lot. And I think that's a great idea. I'll love putting together a list like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the idea.
Oh, of course. Definitely was helpful for me. So,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of books out there.
there
So
sure
it's
are.
kind of nice to know, okay, start here and kind of work your way through that, list. I think would be helpful too. Like, if
Yeah.
you can, when you put it together, put it sort of like in an intentional order, like start, here and work
Just
your
the very
way as you,
basic and
as you, and then work your way through, because, you don't have to read every
Great.
single book,
That's a great idea.
take your time, but there are some that are pretty good for giving you like that solid understanding of where you're going. And then you can the other books will fit better too as you get your legs under you more. Like you don't want to get super out there if you can't take it all in. Like when you're building your foundation, there's a book for that time. And then when you're further down, there's like some other books that will kind of work better at that point in your journey. But when you're first starting out, I mean, you need something that's going to kind of give you a little bit of the layout and try to protect you from some of the things that really can get you, that have gotten some of us. We don't want anyone else to have those challenges if we can help them, because it can be hard. I think, it's a weird thing like that where it's a lot more work than I realize, but there's also so much goodness that comes from it. But you've got to be, I could have saved myself some work if I knew what I knew now.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm sometimes I have to learn the hard way. So, by doing it, but there is a lot of stuff that has helped me, that did save me time, that I did learn from other people or from books. And that they can just be great for giving you ideas.
Yes.
And also showing you, things that have been used before too, that are overlooked now in favor of technology. There's a lot of things that are great. Like I love read alouds for teaching, history and things like that. And it's fun for me. I truly enjoy it. And so do my children.
Yeah.
And so many things, just, it's like people think it has to be, like in a workbook or on a screen. And a lot of things don't need to be that way. And, the way we teach, geography, like it should be taught, and you can do it very simplistically. Like there's a lot of things that we overcomplicate, but you could do effectively for an economic amount. And sometimes you just need to hear about what other people are doing and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll do it that way, getting their perspective and what they've been doing. And, for people that are new, it's almost like that idea of starting small and building up. Don't do all the stuff at once, because
Yeah.
you're just gonna get overwhelmed. And it's better to have, a small piece that's solid than 10 pieces that are all really not there, like that is one thing I did when I first started. It's like I had all my subjects, and it was like there was nothing that was really stellar. It was more like I had all the things going, and you just, you can't do everything well. And if you put too much, then nothing is done well. So better to target those pieces that are really where you want to go and figure out what they are. Because in homeschooling, it doesn't have to be, oh, we're going to be great in history, we're going to be great in math, we're going to be great in no, you just pick the areas that are really important. And then also, whenever you can, pick areas that are hitting lots of different areas. Like if you're doing read alouds, you're also covering a lot of things. You don't have to break subjects down into like individual subjects. One thing can cover a lot of things. You can use read alouds to be teaching a lot. Like you're teaching history, you can be teaching, obviously ELA, you can be doing many things. Like make what you are doing like a workhorse, be intentional about it, and get everything you can from what you do teach. And teach memorization, because I think that's a lost art. That's good.
Have them memorize poems and stuff like that.
Yeah, memorize poems and scripture and all kinds of things. You can build it in. I think that's important.
Documents.
Yeah, and a lot of people just don't even want to bother with some of that stuff. Like I like stuff that's kind of old school too. I think don't, forget to kind of look back and see what other people have done, because there was a reason for it. And I think some of that quality is lacking, and that stuff was valuable and it's good. It's just harder. I think you got to work a little harder for some of it. And I think the gains are work a little harder, better gains too.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I think you're right. The ancient paths, look to the ancient paths and what worked back then is probably something that we're lacking now.
Yeah, the quality.
Yeah,
like with Charlotte Mason, like some of her stuff, like it's really rich, like when you're doing, some of the way that she sees things. And we love doing, like looking at really beautiful pieces of things, whether it's, music or art, and, having that exposure to, really good quality, not quantity, but the quality. And so that they learn early, what makes something, a nature study, and being able to experience those things and not be at such a frenetic pace that you can't really even take it in, and it just feels like it's all a blur. Being able to savor it. But yeah, we did quite a bit of like art, not as much like this year, but maybe like 2 years ago, but like a lot of fun, different studying of, famous pieces and stuff. And there's so much stuff that you can get into. I think the hardest thing is deciding where you're going, because it's easy to rabbit hole all over the place. And then, but I think also finding what you're interested in, hopefully finding the overlap with what your kids like too, because that's when it's magic, when they're into it and you're into it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this is fun.
Yes. I love it. Well, speaking of all of those kinds of things, the rabbit trails and the magic and all of that, tomorrow we have a special guest who is an expert at adding enchantment, magic dust, inspiration to your homeschool. You don't want to miss her session tomorrow. I hope everybody can make it. Deshelle, I'll just go ahead and give away the surprise. Deshelle McVeigh is with at Hide the Chocolate. She will be here tomorrow with us first thing. So come on at 4, try to be on time. She takes children on adventures, literary adventures, and she'll tell us how we can make learning an adventure. And of course, that's fun. So she'll be with us tomorrow. And remember the giveaways. Make sure, I know that Vanessa has gone into the giveaways and entered. So Beth and Jessica and anybody else who's listening, those giveaways, I've put them up in the featured part of the Facebook group. So go ahead and get in there. And the giveaways are Sarah Brown has donated dyslexia games and 4 curriculum journals from the Funschooling. So those are really neat.
Fun.
And then Jessica Anderson and I did a challenge a couple years ago. That was the Love of Learning Challenge. And we're going to give 2 of those away and 2 of our Cultivate the Love of Learning printable kits. And they are printables, but there's a purpose for them. They're good ones.
Printables? No. That's a good printable.
It is. It has
That's a good printable. Yeah.
A
And
lot of ideas for activities that you can do and stations, learning stations and stuff for
okay.
in cultivating the love of learning.
The love of learning. That's a good term. And if anybody's listening to this and you get overwhelmed with printables, then the solution is you need to have 2 separate areas where you keep your printables. There's the big area where the massive amount that you're compiling goes, and then there's a separate folder, and that's for high priority printables that you know you're going to really want to use, like Penny's printable if you are fortunate to get that, and it goes there. It never goes into the big pool of a million printables that you can never organize. It goes into a special folder that's the high priority. And that's the only way, because otherwise, yeah, I've got.
Don't lose our cultivating the love of learning printable kit, because it's important.
Yes, it sounds like it needs to have its own special high priority zone. Yes, don't lose that one.
Right. Don't let it get lost among all the printables.
No, can't have that.
Well, thank you, Jessica. Thanks for all your input and help and inspiration. And I will work on that list because I love putting together book lists. And
woohoo!
Yeah. So I'll try to have that ready before the end of the challenge. I wrote another book. I've written several homeschool books, and I wrote a book, and our coaching group and our accountability helped me to get it finished. I finished writing it like in December, but because we don't have all of our computers and stuff where we're staying at my mother-in-law's house. My husband said, I can't publish it on Amazon right now. I don't have the Photoshop that I need. Hi, Vanessa's little one. And I don't have the dimensions and everything that Amazon requires. And he said he couldn't do it. Well, I was telling him about this challenge I'm doing, and I was like, man, it'd be great if that book was ready. It's called Dear Struggling Homeschool Mom, I See You. And Beth was like an inspiration for me to write that. I wanted to help her out in some things. And so it's being worked on to get it uploaded into Amazon and published. So hopefully by the end of this challenge, we'll have that published on Amazon too.
Oh, how wonderful.
Lots of exciting things
for you, Penny.
Thank you. Yeah, Beth, you'll love it, and you'll be surprised at some things that you find in there.
Surprised in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
That's great.
Yeah, so I will let you guys go. Thank you so much for coming on today, and all the things that you added to it added a lot. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.
Looking forward to tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Deshelle is wonderful.
Yes, make sure you're here for Deshelle.
Oh yeah, don't miss Deshelle. All right, thank you, Penny. Thanks, Vanessa, Elizabeth, everybody else. All right, take care.
Bye.